Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about Magaya's recent version 11.2. And actually, the biggest news are about the LiveTrack mobile app that we've made some enhancements in this version. So it deserved to be also in the name of the webinar on its own. My name is Christian. I have Daniela here with me as well. We're from the product team at Magaya. And a couple of technical notes. You can write questions throughout the webinar. You should see in your GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar control panel, which is presumably on your right-hand side, a section for questions. You can type them in as we go. Maybe some of them we can answer already during the webinar, but at the end we're going to have a special section for it where we answer all the remaining questions. All right, so let's get started. So 11.2 is our latest release. We added a bunch of features, and we're going to cover a show today, some related to quotes and bookings in Magaya, and then a specific demo of a new feature in the LiveTrack app. Okay, so let's get started. So the first feature that we're going to cover today about quotes in Magaya is, you will notice on the top right corner of a cargo quotation, a little open quote check mark. So this was added responding to a custom request that several of you actually requested, to not have to copy quotes that often. So let's say you have a rate locked in with your customer for a certain period, so the quote almost functions as a contract. So you can create it, and until the expiration of that quote, then you could create multiple subsequent transactions from this quote without it being marked as posted. So I can show you quickly Magaya. I have my Magaya here, and if I go to this quote here, you'll see I have prepared it. I have this open quote check mark. Okay, and I have prepared a 40-foot high cube for this particular customer, Mary, and in the charges I have prepared the price for shipping it from Miami to Rio de Janeiro. So for this quote, I can now create a shipment. Just quickly go through it, add the bill of lading, and save the shipment. And typically, a quote will now be closed, or as we call in Magaya, the status for the quote will be posted with the shipment created. But as we go back to the quote, I can now see that the status is still open because this checkbox is on, and I can go ahead and create the next transaction until I remove this checkbox, or until the next feature that I'm going to show now is going to kick in, which is the expired status on quotes. So quotes have typically had the expiration date field, but as a status, they would have then just marked as a lost quote. So now, if you look at this quotation list that I have here, there's an actual expired status. For example, the one I'm selecting now, the quote 22419, shows expired. Why? Well, very simple. The expiration date is in the past. So as soon as I take the expiration date here and change it in the future, change it to the future. The same quote is now open. So this is very, self-explanatory, this feature, but also a very common request from the customer. So the expiration date and open status together, they enable you to lock in a price for certain service or job to a customer and not having to worry about forgetting to close the quote when the expiration date passes. Okay. All right. So I see that we have actually already some people typing questions. I see that there is an audio request. So I hope that this one was fixed and now you can hear. I do have other participants giving feedback here that audio should be okay. So I hope that everybody can hear me fine. Okay. All right. So back to the presentation. Just a couple of words, by the way, why quotes and bookings and shipments. So this is a slide here displaying the expired state of a quote. We have, as a team in Magaya, made the decision to really invest and focus on some of the features for our core freight forwarder customer. And one of the most frequent area of feedback has been more functionality in quotations, in bookings, and shipments. And if those of you that remember our version 11 major release last year, we also added a lot of new functionality there for quotations and bookings, and we will keep doing so in the next releases to come. And the webinar, for example, for our releases 11 and 11.1, the previous ones, both of those are available on our YouTube channels. If you go to YouTube and search for Magaya software, you will see all our previous webinar recordings there, and this one will be uploaded there as well. And also you will get a link to the webinar recording in the follow-up email of this one. Okay, so all of this information, if you want to share it later with someone from your team, it's going to be possible. Okay, so the next one is also a pretty big feature for the workflow of quoting freight services in Magaya. Okay, so over the years we've been asked a lot why do we have to follow that strict order of workflow that Magaya gives, where I first have to create the quote or the booking and then create the warehouse receipt or pickup order to receive the cargo in my warehouse as part of the job that I quoted. We realized that often the case is that you receive the cargo first, it's already in your possession, and then you may wish to quote the job of exporting it or shipping it, importing maybe, to your customer. So what we've done in this case is we've enabled on quotes and bookings to get items, that's the name of the button, or get items, meaning choose cargo that I have already in the system on warehouse receipts or pickup orders, and pull that cargo to the quote or booking without having to create a duplicate transaction. So let me show you this one here. So I'll start by going to my warehouse receipts. And I have one, I'll just show, I have one from yesterday. So it's clearly already in the system. The one here, 4116. I have a few commodities here, right? To my customer, consignee is John here. Okay, so now I can go and create a new quotation. And on the quotation, you'll see that there's a new button here, Get Items, where I would normally just type in the commodities. I can now click this and see all the warehouse receipts and pickup orders that I have available to process. And part of this processing now is that I can create a quote for it. So here I am, quote to John. Let's say it's a containerized shipment. And I have a bunch of charges here automatically created. Let's say I can also ship it from Miami to, let's say, Santos. And here's my quote for this warehouse receipt. And they're nicely linked in the history of the quote. Now, if I go back, or if I go now and want to create a booking for it, I can go to my bookings. This was an ocean export. And again, on the bookings, I can see that the commodities tab has a get items button that allows me to pull items from this warehouse receipt or this entire warehouse receipt. The same would apply to pickup orders. And I can create this booking, and from this booking directly go ahead and create a shipment, etc. And this is an already familiar workflow. So we've kind of made the system more flexible to support either first creating a quote or booking, and then from there warehouse receipt and shipment, or that you can quote or create a booking for items that you already have received and didn't necessarily even know where they were going when you received them. So it's much more flexible now. All right. So the next big area that we're going to cover is actually about documents. Okay, so again, a very important part of your business. And I hope everybody has noticed that already as of version 11, our documents look different. We still have the old ones for those that preferred that look, but we have entered a lot of new documents. You will notice the color blue used there and just a more modern design, cleaner look. So here, for example, I have this quotation that I created earlier. It's for port-to-port shipping. It has multiple pages, so that's something that we already added in version 11, that you can design your documents to have a second page, which you can print on the back or as a separate page, for example, terms and conditions, or if you have airway bills or bills of lading that have some terms on the other side, you can do that as well. And now we have added into this list of standard documents also, I would say, about 100 of them in Spanish, which is obviously important to a large part of our customer base. You will recognize these new documents by this dash in the beginning. Why? Because simple, this is an alphabetical list and we wanted them to show up first. So if you scroll down, you'll see all these documents without a dash. Those are the old ones. The ones that start with a dash are the new ones. So let's say if I choose this cotización here, you will see that they're all nicely translated in Spanish. So this was something that we promised as soon as we made those new documents that it will come, and now we have caught up. So all our new documents that were released in English only also have a Spanish version. You actually don't have to do anything to get them. They will be in your system when you update to version 11.2. In case some of them don't show up, or if we keep adding new ones, just as a reminder, there's always this option on their file menu to go and download document, which will take you to this list of all the documents that we have ever created and uploaded for you. And you can search by keyword or document type and then just download them, and they will be in your Magaya system. So we have literally hundreds and hundreds of templates for you to choose from. And if you have ideas of new ones that we should have or add to the system, you can always contact our support and give them that request, and we will process it internally and analyze and see if we can add those to the standard document lists. Actually, I just saw a question from Leonard coming in now, that when you click the sign in quotation, which is the plus sign, which is the add new quotation, will it ask for English and Spanish? So no, when you're creating a new transaction in the system, like for example here I'm clicking the plus and adding a new quotation. What I see here is not the document language, but the system language. So my Magaya system is in English, and this is a choice that every user can make for themselves, not even every company, but if a user wants to change their language to Spanish, they can either close Magaya and on the login screen choose Spanish again, or here under options, they can pick a different language and then restart Magaya and it will restart in the different language. So this is the language that the user sees when they're working with Magaya. The language that the document appears is different. This is chosen from the actions menu here, and regardless of what your Magaya is set up to be, English, Spanish, or Portuguese, you can select a template in which you want to appear this information to appear to your customer, and select it from here. So this allows extra flexibility. You can even have mixed use inside a company. You can have some employees looking at Magaya in English, some in Spanish, some in Portuguese, etc. Okay, so let's see, we have more questions. I will take I see some questions about the previous features, so I'll take those in the end as well. And let's see what else we have to cover today. All right, LiveTrack. We've added a new major feature to the LiveTrack app. Okay, so here's a quick reminder slide about LiveTrack, what it is. So LiveTrack is our offering for online customer service, for you to provide better customer service for your customer, for your clients. It's a portal, and we also consider tracking emails and notifications as part of the LiveTrack offering. And you can also have a widget on your website where your customer can come and type in a tracking number and see the status of a transaction. So LiveTrack is obviously good to eliminate phone calls and emails that you would normally have to receive or place to provide customer service. So your customers can check their statuses, pay their invoices. If you sign up for online payments, they can upload additional documentation in LiveTrack, so they don't have to email to you, letters of intent, etc. They can just attach it in LiveTrack. And they can also create transactions in your Magaya, meaning send you requests for orders, booking, shipping instructions. And so as of last year, we added also a free mobile app for iOS and Android. So, and by free, I mean it comes with Magaya, of course. Nothing is free, but there is no extra charge for using LiveTrack or for using LiveTrack app. I know maybe some of you from previous times are actually using or actually paying extra for LiveTrack, but already earlier this year, we introduced an all-in contract where so contact your sales rep and make sure that you're getting all the Magaya features in one price instead of paying separately for extra features. Okay, so about a year ago, in our first webinar introducing the LiveTrack app, we did this little poll. There were more than 100 of you there in this webinar. Maybe some of you remember it was October 2018, and we asked there. Okay, so in the LiveTrack app, which new features would you like to see most? Some said that they will email me specifically with requests, and I actually have received a few emails. Thank you for those. Uploading photos, we actually did that. So in the LiveTrack app now as well, your customer can just upload a photo from the mobile phone. So it's a feature that we've had in the web portal for years, but maybe it's more convenient for some customers to just take the photo with their phone and just directly upload it onto a shipment or warehouse receipt without having to go and find it on their computer. We don't have a dashboard feature yet. That's something that's hopefully coming to not just LiveTrack, but different Magaya products in 2020. Bookings are now displayed as well as quotations in the LiveTrack app, so that part is done as well. And the winner was notifications. So already a year ago, a lot of you were asking that I want notifications to be part of the app, and we added them here. And that's what this part of the webinar is about. So notifications in LiveTrack. So what do we mean by it? They're not emails. We already had that. Text messages is something that we're working on adding as well. Transactions in LiveTrack can be shared with text message, but we're talking about here to notify your customers via text when something new happens or a new event occurs. Okay, so for now we're talking about the kind of native push notifications that Apple and Android devices have. How is this helpful? Well, most of today's web browsing is done on mobile already, so we are assuming that in a lot of places where your customer might be on the move, they don't have access to a computer every minute of the day, but they're always on their phone. So now they can get notifications about new transactions that you have created for them in your Magaya, and also new events on existing transactions. So let's say you receive cargo for them, you create a warehouse receipt, they get a notification. If you added then an event to the warehouse receipt saying, now I took pictures, please check the status of your cargo, they will get notified by the LiveTrack app on their phone. Okay, so let's do a quick demo of this. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's do a quick demo of this feature. I do have to say that this is a little bit of a teaser. Why? Because the actual feature will be released on January 10th in the app stores where you can download it from. So until then, we are showing this as a pre-recorded video. I hope that is okay with everybody. And after that, January 14th date, we will send an email to every one of you here and also a general notice when the feature is released. Okay, so here is a user logging in to LiveTrack. My favorite customer, John. And we have Magaya open on the left-hand side here to see the transactions that we're creating. So here John is going through the settings in the LiveTrack app to make sure that under notifications, they have under different transaction types selected that they want to receive notifications for new transactions. So here they are in warehouse receipts, for example. You can also do that in shipments. And as you can see, there's a separate toggle for events. So we don't want to overwhelm your users with notifications or your customers, and therefore they have the chance to flip them on or off however they would want to receive notifications. So here I have John on his phone saying that they want to receive notifications for new warehouse receipts, for example. Okay, and you will see also now they're turning on shipments. So on the left-hand side in Magaya, so this would be, let's say, you now creating in Magaya a new warehouse receipt and putting John, the user on a LiveTrack app, as a consignee. So here in this demo, we're not even entering items yet. We're just going to put that the new warehouse receipt was created. This was just a simple demo purposes. And typically it takes, there's a schedule running. It may take about 40 seconds in our current tests for the notification to arrive. So here I have a person just checking their email, for example, and you saw the notification coming. They click on it and it opens the specific transaction that was created in the LiveTrack app. So the app itself can be closed, of course. This works as with any other app in your iPhone or Android phone, that if you have the native notifications enabled, you don't have to have the app open. The notification will arrive regardless. So this is very convenient for the user. So we're going to now go and enable also the notification for new events. Okay, so this is a separate toggle because presumably there are more events than new transactions, right? And maybe if in your workflow you have, internally put a process in place where there are 30 events created on each transaction, you don't want your customer to be pinged with each of them. But in this case, so we're going to enable new events for cargo releases. So we're going to create a cargo release in Magaya, or add an event to a cargo release in Magaya and see the customer being notified on their phone. Again, the app is closed. You can see on the phone that the app is not running. And on the left-hand side, we're just going to go and add an event on the cargo release that, in this case, they used arrive to warehouse. So it can be any event that you have defined, right? And this also applies to automatic events. So this is especially convenient with, for example, shipments, where a lot of events can happen when the shipment changes the status. So let's say you mark a shipment in transit, or you have something coming from intra that communicates a new status and it creates an event automatically. And this event can now be pushed to the customer's phone automatically. So here, customer was browsing and you saw the cargo release event. I ended the video a little quickly here. Let me go back here. You saw the cargo release event popping up and the user opening the cargo release on their phone. Okay, so today it was just a video. On January 10th, you'll be able to download it in the latest version of the LiveTrack app once it is published onto your phone as well. We are actually having another webinar that touches LiveTrack and notifications and emails and all sorts of online customer service features more broadly in January. So there we will be able to show this feature live as well. Okay. So here, just as a kind of wrap up, there are some facts about LiveTrack. We took some numbers from October. We have every month about 300,000 transactions viewed in LiveTrack, which means across our customer base, these are transactions that eliminate emails, phone calls, and text messages, right? Asking for the status of the cargo. So we're keeping track of this number. It's steadily growing. It's showing that we're making life easier for our customers. Also, about 8,000 transactions were created in LiveTrack. So these are booking requests, pickup requests, shipping instructions that your customers sent in LiveTrack to you without having to, or instead of having to send them by email or request them by phone call, right? Also, the pictures viewed in LiveTrack has increased a lot as well, because a lot of you are adding more pictures to your transactions because of our dimensioner, because of our binder app. So, photos are of course a very good way to prove the cargo condition, etc. Right. So this was a little bit about LiveTrack. Let me see if we have some questions. Okay. All right, so the question was, can the documents be uploaded in PDF format? Okay. Yes, so in the LiveTrack web portal, you can actually upload not any file, because there are security concerns, of course, and so we've allowed different popular file formats to be uploaded, including like Excel even and CSV. PDF is definitely part of it. In the mobile app, I believe it's only photos and PDFs for now, but we can expand that. This is in line with our binder app that also does photos and PDFs. So far, not other types of attachments. All right. Then we have a question, different question about messages generated to the employee. So when a customer uploads documents to LiveTrack, you can set up something called a system alert in Magaya. In fact, I can even go real quick and show where it is. If you go to your configuration page in Magaya and you go on the system alerts, there is an attachment created from LiveTrack, and so you can choose which employee gets notified and whether the employee gets notified by email or by a task in Magaya. So right now this is not a text message yet for the internal notifications, but you can actually set up your notifications added or attachments created in LiveTrack or added to LiveTrack to notify employees internally. Right, so I hope that answers your question. This was Eduardo that asked. All right. Then we have Stephen asking, can Magaya only display the list of documents in a system language instead of all languages? The documents that you have already downloaded into your Magaya, they're going to be there. And so when you first install Magaya, you actually choose in the installation kind of wizard, you can choose which language packs or packages of documents you want to include. So if you have during the time of installation chosen all available documents, then they will show up there unless you go and delete them. You can actually delete document templates from Magaya. I won't delete them from the server. You can go and they can be downloaded again. But so if you chose, let's say, just English during your installation, then they will show just English until you go and download the Spanish ones. Okay, so we have now a question here from Debbie about the quotes feature. Okay, so the first question is, can you use the same warehouse receipt in multiple quotes? The answer is no. If you use the full warehouse receipt, they will as soon as the warehouse receipt is used up, kind of already chosen in that window where you saw the available warehouse receipts and pickup orders, it will not show up in that window for the next quote. That at least in this iteration of the feature. You can send us this feedback as well. If you try using it and you think that is a huge limitation, we can see if we can do something there, open it up more. But for now, you would use this one warehouse receipt for one quote. And the question is, which will be the status of the warehouse receipt that is linked to a quote? The status of the warehouse receipt is not going to change. It is still, whether it was pending or on hand, it will still show that. The warehouse receipt item status change is still driven by the next, let's say, hard transaction, not a quote, but let's say a shipment that is loaded to would put it in process. Okay. I think so far these are the only questions. Oh, we have, okay. That is an interesting question from Stephen. What is the largest file size? I will have to get back to you on that, Stephen. I don't know that by heart. I'm sure we have set one, but I don't remember it now. So Stephen, we'll get back to you with the largest file size that is supported for uploads to LiveTrack. All right, so any more questions, keep typing them. Again, it should be on the GoToMeeting control panel on your right-hand side. So this actually concluded everything we had to show about 11.2 and LiveTrack today. Again, we kept some of the LiveTrack feature details for the January webinar, and hope that you will come back and see us then as well. We'll show some more about how to use LiveTrack, how to set up LiveTrack in different ways, also for emails and for tracking widgets. This is actually something nice here that I'm seeing this slide for the first time, but Daniela is confirming that this is actually happening. So we're giving away a free Google Home to one of the attendees today. So there's going to be a drawing tomorrow, and we will post the winner on our Instagram and also reach out to you by email. So that's as a little token of appreciation by us. One of you is going to win a Google Home. We didn't. I see why we didn't announce it beforehand, because we wanted you to be here for the content. Okay, so Q&A. If there are still any questions left, I would take them now. All right, so we have a question here from Trina. How can we add large legal info on docs? Okay, so if I go back to our Magaya here and open, for example, this quotation that I had here for multi-page use. Okay, so in the document designer, you're able to add an entire new page, and there, you know, however you design it, the font size, like here, for example, this is Lorem Ipsum, obviously, but I created an entire page of just text, and you can make the font smaller, and I'm sure you can fit quite a bit there. And you can reach out to our support to see how to use the feature, the document designer. It may be a little tricky to just figuring out completely on your own, but in the document designer, the very basic highlight is that if you open Magaya's document designer, you'll see that on the left-hand side you have page templates, and you can there add a new page or, you know, delete an existing one. So here I'm designing the page 1 of the cotización, and here I am looking at page 2, and you see I can just kind of, you know, copy paste text into here from anywhere, and I can change the font size and add bullets, and it, you know, your basic document designer features. So that's kind of how the multi-page and large sets of legal terms can apply. Right. So next question. Yeah, so we had there Christina also asking what the file size is. We've already added that. Okay, then Patricia is asking, is there an ETA for notification via text message? There is no ETA. Internally, we're shooting for maybe mid next year, but this is also something that we, you know, prioritize based on customer feedback. So there are 57 of you in this webinar, and if we receive 57 emails tomorrow that it's a super important feature, we may be able to do it faster. but yes, it's something that is on our roadmap, and we're researching like the best possible partners to actually do the email sending for us. But it's a project that's in process, and I'm guessing this is not a promise or a concrete ETA, but I'm guessing like mid next year it should be available. All right, so the question, so then Lara has a question, is there a way to attach a quote to a shipment if we forget to create a shipment from a quote? Yes, so any transaction in Magaya supports attachments, so but I'm guessing you mean to kind of link the items and charges on it. So the answer there is no. A shipment is a record in a transaction in Magaya that is like basically copying always the information from the previous transaction that it was created from. So if you already have the shipment and you already have the charges, and then you remember that, oh, I had a quote actually for this shipment, there is no, you could attach the PDF of the quote as an attachment, as an image to the shipment in the attachments tab, just to internally make sure that the link is there. but it would be up to you to make sure that the charges actually match the ones on the quote. So that's unfortunately how it is now. All right, we have Leonard asking a few. We have time to take a few more questions. There's a question here about our WMS handheld scanners. So some of you may have heard that we have a project going on to create a new app for Android for the WMS. What the status is there? We're expecting the first release, which would cover only receiving and move transactions. So not the outbound shipping part yet, nor inventory count yet. We're expecting this to be out around Q2. And again, Leonard, we can add you to the email list if you're not already there of people that are interested in this app project, and where we also provide chances to be an early tester for this new WMS app that we're creating as well. So thank you for this question. Question from Christina, for those who already have the LiveTrack app on their phones installed, do we need to reinstall it for the next release? No, it will it will let you know that there's an update available, and so you don't have to reinstall it. Just follow the standard app procedures in your iPhone or Android phone, and you'll be able to go and update through there. Okay, so we have a lot more questions still left, actually, that we're unfortunately able to answer. Let me see if there's one here that I could answer quickly, but to the rest of them we will have to get back by email. Question here: what impact, if any, does LiveTrack have on website speed? No, there's no impact. You can put the LiveTrack tracking widget into your website, and because the user will have a button to click, so your website will only have a field with the drop down and the tracking number input, and once they click that button, they send the query to LiveTrack, but your website performance will not be affected. All right, and we have here another question about is there a way to relate a quote to an already created shipment? So no, not yet. We did it for warehouse receipts and pickup orders in this. Okay, and then if you have a warehouse receipt linked to an ocean quote, can we copy to create an air quote? The quote itself can be copied, but that quote will then not be linked to that particular warehouse receipt. But the purpose of having the cargo reflected on the quote and the possible charges, that would be covered. So you can have a warehouse receipt, create a quote, pull the items from the warehouse receipt, that quote and warehouse receipt will be linked, and you can copy then the quote to quote different types of services, for example, air. All right, so I think this was all the questions that we had time for today. We're now 2 minutes over our planned time. Thank you everybody for attending, and we will be sending a follow-up email with the recording of this webinar as well. And for those that we didn't have time to answer the questions, we will get in contact via email for this too. So keep an eye out for our next webinar, which will be in January, about more about LiveTrack and related functionality. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, this is the phone number for our customer support. They're always happy to talk to you. You can email us at solutions@magaya.com, and we'll get back to you as well. So thank you very much, everybody, and have a beautiful Tuesday.